If you last less than 5 minutes and think the problem ends there, I need you to hear this clearly. What's actually at risk isn't timing, it's trust, confidence, and emotional connection. And most couples don't realize the damage until it's already taken hold. I'm Dr. Jennifer, a urologist with over 14 years of clinical experience treating men's performance and hormonal health. And I see this pattern every week. Men blaming themselves, partners staying silent, and relationships quietly absorbing the strain. This isn't about masculinity or effort, and it's not something you can simply push through. When this happens repeatedly, the body is signaling distress, the nervous system is on high alert, and intimacy starts to feel pressured instead of safe. And that's where relationships begin to fracture without anyone fully understanding why. This is exactly why doctors take this issue seriously, because lasting under 5 minutes is rarely just a timing issue. It's a signal that the body is under pressure, and when that pressure goes unaddressed, it spills into the relationship. Many couples assume this is something minor, temporary, or purely physical, but medically speaking, repeated short timing changes how both partners emotionally experience intimacy. One partner may begin to feel rushed, unsatisfied, or disconnected, while the other carries shame, anxiety, and fear of disappointing again. Over time, intimacy stops feeling natural and starts feeling risky. Doctors warn that when intimacy becomes associated with stress instead of connection, emotional safety erodes, and that's where the real relationship risk begins. Here's the part most people don't expect. This problem is not caused by lack of desire or attraction. In many cases, desire is still there, but the nervous system is overactivated. The body is operating in a constant state of alert, and when that happens, control systems weaken. This is why effort alone doesn't fix the issue. In fact, trying harder often makes it worse. The more pressure someone feels to perform properly, the more reactive the nervous system becomes, and the faster the body responds. This creates a loop where fear of the problem becomes the fuel for the problem, and most couples never realize they're stuck inside it. On one side, many men feel embarrassed, frustrated, and silently afraid that they're losing control over their body, even though they may appear confident on the outside. On the other side, partners often feel confused, unwanted, or emotionally unsatisfied, yet hesitate to speak up out of fear of hurting feelings or making things worse. Conversations get avoided. Intimacy becomes less frequent or more tense. What's painful is that both people usually care deeply, yet each feels alone in the experience. This emotional disconnect, more than the physical timing itself, is what slowly weakens closeness and trust if it's never properly understood. From a medical standpoint, repeated short timing is most often linked to an overactive nervous system rather than a lack of ability or desire. When stress hormones like cortisol stay elevated due to anxiety, work pressure, poor sleep, or constant performance worry, the brain shifts into survival mode. In that state, fine control mechanisms weaken, and the body prioritizes speed over regulation. This isn't a conscious choice. The nervous system reacts before rational thought can intervene. Doctors see that when this pattern repeats, the body learns the response, making it feel automatic and harder to interrupt, especially when emotional pressure is added. The brain is designed to choose safety before control. When someone feels watched, evaluated, or afraid of disappointing their partner, intimacy stops being a shared experience and starts feeling like a test. Psychologically, this creates anticipatory anxiety, and biologically, that anxiety activates reflexive responses instead of regulated ones. This is why techniques, willpower, or trying to relax rarely work. The body cannot slow down while it feels threatened. Until the nervous system feels safe, control remains unstable, no matter how strong the desire to improve. This is where many people finally feel relief. This issue does not mean failure, weakness, or loss of masculinity. It means the body has been under strain for too long. When men understand that this is a physiological response, not a personal flaw, the shame begins to lift, and when shame lifts, pressure decreases. Doctors consistently observe that reduced pressure alone often leads to noticeable improvement because the nervous system is no longer being pushed deeper into alert mode by fear and self-judgment. The real danger appears when this problem is ignored or avoided. Silence leads to assumptions. One partner may assume rejection, while the other assumes disappointment. Intimacy may become less frequent, emotionally tense, or avoided altogether. Confidence erodes, communication weakens, and both partners start protecting themselves emotionally. Doctors warn that this slow emotional distancing, not the timing itself, is what puts relationships at risk. When couples don't talk about what's happening medically and psychologically, they end up fighting symptoms instead of addressing the cause. The hopeful truth is that this issue is highly treatable and often reversible when approached correctly. The focus must shift away from performance pressure and toward nervous system regulation. When stress is reduced, sleep improves, emotional reassurance replaces evaluation, and intimacy is reintroduced without urgency. The body begins to relearn control naturally. Doctors emphasize that improvement happens fastest when couples work together, calmly and without blame, allowing the body time to reset instead of forcing outcomes. The hopeful truth is that this issue is highly treatable and often reversible when approached correctly. The focus must shift away from performance pressure and toward nervous system regulation. When stress is reduced, sleep improves, emotional reassurance replaces evaluation, and intimacy is reintroduced without urgency. The body begins to relearn control naturally. Doctors emphasize that improvement happens fastest when couples work together, calmly and without blame, allowing the body time to reset instead of forcing outcomes.